Eyo, skunda uhiruri kyang kesade, hagu uhiruri kyang. Today we're here to share a little bit of our Haida culture with my friend Frank here, and we're going to start talking about a little bit about my history and how I grew up and how I got involved with my cultural learning, relearning our culture, I should say, because through the assimilation process, through the government and church and whatnot, a lot of us, our culture was taken from us. It was a real cultural genocide, I guess I could say. I guess I'm being mild about it, the way I feel actually, you know. The feeling is subsiding, but it will never go away about the assimilation process and stealing our culture. Well, right now, the process here in this carving shed, this is like our church. The whole thing is our church, the whole world. Our people, the Native people, were put here by the Creator to be the stewards of this land. So a lot of us are relearning this again. We were put out there to go be different types of workers, fishermen, ditch diggers, and whatnot. But right now, a lot of us, my brother and I, and a lot of other people in the town, are working on relearning the carving, the stories, the history, all these things that identify us as Haida people. A lot of this was lost and was we were made to feel ashamed of it through this assimilation process. So, you know, our people were not allowed to speak the language when we went off to boarding school. We were not allowed to carve. Many things that, again, identified us as Haidas was not allowed. It was outlawed. Potlatches and all these things, the song. So, a slow process like this. My brother and I were getting up there in age now, but we're learning a lot of this here from our younger people. The role reversal that I kind of mentioned earlier, like I'm here learning from my nephew and my son and the young boys. They're these young guys that took up the art and got really, really good at it. We want to heal too. It's not just about carving a nice piece of wood or a paddle or into a totem pole. It's about a healing process and help us tell the story of where our people were before, and how do we get back these values that were once ours. We had to learn a whole new value system, and it kind of the residual effect, I guess, is negative in a lot of ways. You know, we lost our pride, we lost our dignity, we lost a lot of things. And where do you hide when you don't have these things? A lot of our people start practicing at being invisible. In other words, we became alcoholics or drug addicts to hide away for a minute. A lot of us are now putting that aside and saying, hey, we need to take steps toward healing ourselves by reinstilling this cultural values, the values of our ancestors. We need to put it back in our heart and our head well enough to teach our youngsters where we need to respect all of this. We need to respect each other. First off, we need to respect ourselves. I need to learn how to love myself again. I need to respect myself again. And more importantly, I need to learn how to share this love and respect with whoever I can. Especially the steward, being the steward of this land. Got to relearn how to take care of the trees, the water, all these things that we kind of drifted away from. A lot of our younger people, like my son's the mayor here, Tony Christensen Peel, he's pretty knowledgeable about a lot of these things, and there's a lot of young people his age and younger that are steering us in a good direction. You see the shed going up, pretty soon there'll be a longhouse over where the old A&B was. You see more and more of our youngsters getting involved in doing paddle work, doing language classes, doing, well, again, relearning our culture and the values. And again, it starts here. We need to take it upon ourselves. Can't wait for these handouts from the government or whoever. And we're always waiting for funding for this thing or that thing or whatever to get things started. We need to just say, hey, this needs to be done. We don't need a paycheck to do it. Oh, it's nice to have the money. But we need to think about the values of what this building is going to bring to us in the long term. Like the young people that come down and watch us carve, listen to the stories, they're getting a whole new set of values. And we hope that, you know, it's going to keep them too busy to do these other things that, where some of us get lost on the trail, the drugs, the alcohol, and all these things like that. But there's always hope. I'm 61, almost 62 years, and I spent a good part of my life in the bottle. I've been sober now for 4 years, and a big part of my staying that way is being involved with this here and telling the story to whoever will listen about what the assimilation process had, the residential and the government schools taking us away from our parents at a young age and not having these guiding forces to show us how to be good human beings. You know, good male, how do you treat a female? Or how do you treat proper? So a lot of us kind of, I guess it's a mindset. I started when they shipped me out to boarding school, I was 14 years old. And so the drinking and the drugs started. What a coincidence. You know, so, and then I started looking around and I noticed I'm not the only one in this. There's a whole lot of us that start practicing at being invisible. Our way to hide away because we couldn't be who we wanted to be. And my cry is, I guess I know I said it many times, don't cry for me. Cry for the little boy inside of me. He says, teach me to be higher. Simple. But it's a long process. When I think about it, I get emotional. I just feel like, well, I look back into the respect levels and things that went from when I was a child to now. I see us losing a grip. I see a grip getting tighter in the last few years, but there was a spell there where we lost certain leaders and big families would kind of just fall apart. So we need to step up into the position and be those leaders that our parents and our aunts and our uncles and all these things, they taught us these values. We need to practice these values and learn the values more importantly and then teach them to our youngsters again. Yeah, and I think we could live with white culture, so to speak, dominant culture. I might as well get it out. I've been trying real hard not to be prejudiced about this. I try real hard to put that away from me, but it's buried pretty deep, and it's got to come out to me. It's the only way I can. You know, people will say, "Well, why do you keep on singing the same old song?" And da, 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 da. Well, it helps me to unload this junk that I'm carrying in my trunk. So if I tell the story like I'm saying today, it helps me unload that little bit. I thank you for allowing me to have the time to share how I feel about what happened in the past. How do we get from there to there? By finding out what happened back there and how do I heal this? Where do I put this junk? I don't want to give it to anybody else. We got to cut that chain someplace. No more doing this to our children, no more. This is what we need to do. We need to spend more time showing them how to pick a berry, showing them how to clean a fish, showing them how to carve a paddle. All these little things that somehow we drifted away from and we use our times to get away from our children. Go fishing. No, you watch them, I'm going out fishing. Why not haul them out there with you and show them how to do it so they can do it themselves? So we need to recenter our...
This digital technology gives you a global voice. What would you say about Haida values to our one human family all around the world?
I think if we looked at each other and shared our values, instead of trying to impose my values upon you, I will show you my values. I will open my heart. I will open my door to you. I will offer you my food. I will welcome you to my land. And while you're here, I will protect you. You're my guest. You know, so, and when we walk into anybody's land, we would expect the same. and hope that we were treated the same. We are all brothers. It doesn't matter, brothers and sisters. The skin thing is just skin. We're all human beings. We all got problems. And when we can sit at a round table, let's put all these problems on the table and hash it out together, not as a Tlingit, a Haida, or white man or black man, but as a human race. We can figure these problems out. We're intelligent. I mean, you get different people that want to put themselves at different levels of intelligence or whatever you might want to call it. We're looked upon maybe because sometimes we don't speak enough, and it's looked at as maybe they're not smart enough. I think a lot of our people are very, very intelligent. There's an opportunity to do these things, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to share a little bit of how a lot of our people feel, but I won't say. We just go along and let things happen. We need to make things happen in a positive direction again, like this new longhouse going up. I can't wait. I'm excited. Boy, part of our culture, a longhouse. The next thing you know, we're going to see canoes going down the bay, and crews paddling and dancing and singing, and like going back to get ahead.
Yes.
Paddling in a canoe, singing the song, using some of our old values, old stories. Every story that we tell about a pole, it has some value to it, like that double-fin killer whale that's out there. You know, it's about, the story was about two boys, brothers, were down the beach throwing rocks, and a duck was out there. An older brother, he hit the duck, and his wing, he's flopping around the water, and they thought it was funny. And we're supposed to have respect. We're the stewards. You don't do this to these creatures. You don't treat anybody or anything like that. They all have spirits and feelings too. So they go and get a little canoe to chase the duck. And they're paddling, and it looked like they're going to almost get it, then the duck would swim. And this goes on all day, and going further, further, and further. And they get way out, and the fog rolls in on them. So the older brother, he grabs hold of a bull kelp, and he ties up the canoe for a minute, and they pull a tarp over them to wait out the weather. And while they're waiting there, they hear a voice. And their chief wants them. They look around and see nothing. They hear the voice again. The chief wants you. The brother looks around, he looks down, and there's a bullhead on the kelp. And it opens up like a stairways down. So he said, come on, chief wants you. So they follow the bullhead down, and they come to a nice longhouse under the sea. And it's our belief and our customs and our stories that all of these creatures, the bears, the seals, the killer whales, they take off their cloak when they go home and hang it up like you and I would take off our coat. Well, anyway, the big chief is sitting on his seat up here, and the boys come in. You guys are no good. You guys are very respectful. And the older brother, he had a medallion that one of his uncles had made him, a copper shield, it's hanging on him. And he kind of knows they're gonna be punished for doing wrong. So he took his copper shield off and he put it on his younger brother, but he made him hang it on his back. So the big chief, the killer whale's chief, he said, the boys damaged that bird for no reason, and tortured him, disrespected him. I want you to turn around and punish him. When they turn around, he reaches over, he has a spear, two spears here, and he throws them, and the one hits his older brother in the back, and he grabs the other one and he throws it, and it's meant for the younger brother, but it hits the copper shield and it glances off and it goes into the back of the older brother, so now he has two spears in his back. That's one of our legends on how the two-fin killer whale came out. So, like this year, after this happened, the younger boy appears on the beach in front of his village. And he tells the story to his parents and stuff about what happened to them. And as he's telling the story, a pod of killer whales came by, and one of them had two fins. So they moved up with brother. Let's talk more about the story, you know. Don't mess with those things. So they adopted this double fin killer whale as a family crest. So that's the story on how some of these crests get started. And then there's another pole outside there with the big killer whale fin, got the head on there. This was about a Algonquin. The killer whale stole this Haida man's wife. Well, he's not having that, that's his baby mom. So he jumps on the back of this other killer whale and he's holding on, he's gonna go to battle and get his wife back. I'm telling you short versions of these stories. These stories have many different versions. We could go on for a while. The raven is our one of our most important figures in our Haida culture. There's two different main things, the eagle and the raven. I'm an eagle. We follow our mother's side of the family. So whatever my mother had, she was an eagle frog. That's what I would wear. I'm wearing today. I would tell a story about the raven and how he did, but the story again goes on and on and on. Before I get into that, I started doing art classes about 15 years ago. I lived in Seattle. I grew up fishing, longshoring. When I went to Seattle, I joined a dance group and I had a desire to want to learn the song and dance and the culture and whatnot. So I took a form line design from a guy named Steve Brown. So I had to learn how to do form line design from a white guy. Well, this is where we go. And for a while I thought this was kind of a bad thing. And I started, all the books that I learned from were done by people that were college educated and did their dissertations in Haida. But who did they talk to? They talked to my ancestors. So it was, to me, I was kind of mad that they stole our stories. And after I learned to appreciate it, it's written down history. So I got someplace to go to learn. Well, my attitude changed about, again, even having a camera. No way we're going to let you hear our stories or record any of our dances or anything like that. Now we're saying the change of attitude is bring the camera, bring the recorder, show the world. We want you to know who we are and how we are. We were down for a long time, but we're standing up on our feet. And it's things like this here helping us to get our word out and making us feel good about ourselves. Helping us off our knees to stand up on our own 2 feet again. And this is a big part of it, learning who we are, where we're going. I heard new friends that the further back you go, the further you can get ahead. I'll be using that. I told you a story about my uncle. She said it's pretty much the same thing years ago when I was a kid. Sometimes we have to go back to get ahead. And we're talking about our values. We need to relearn our value system. Look at our elders. And the total respect they had for each other. When one talked, you listened. When we went out to get a fish, a clam, a deer, there was prayer. We asked for permission from our Creator. We gave thanks to our mother. And all these values we need to, again, respect these values. And respect other people's ways of thinking about religion and things. We are Haidas, and we're not trying to go out to convert anybody into being Haidas. We want you to come and enjoy our place and company and whatnot. If you want to be a Haida, you're welcome to it. Give it a try. Respect our values, that's all we have. It's not a hard thing.
Well, in many ways, we're coming full circle, coming back to the original values. But what's different this time is Haida has a global voice through this technology, and there are 8 billion people that need to understand we are one human family. We should not be fighting and negative. And ISIS markets via smartphones and social media hate and violence. We need to have Haida warriors fight in the war against ignorance. And what you are doing here has a global voice. So we will be sharing this with our one human family and whatever else you feel needs to be said.
Oh, well, saying earlier, I'm trying to get it out and I'm getting emotional about it, you know. We were talking about these things, and instead of wallowing in my pity, I gotta pick myself up and put these drugs and alcohol aside and grab onto this culture, learn as much as I can, you know, and share it with my youth or elders, whoever wants to hear it. But again, I gotta wallow in my self-pity, asking the world, don't cry for me. Cry for a little boy inside of me. He says, teach me to be Haida.
I heard there is a seventh generation prophecy that says the seventh generation since the insurgence of the white man will lead a new day of cultural sovereignty. And I think youth in the village now are that seventh generation. And we're teaching them to have a global voice, but they are not quite hearing yet. So they need to be hearing this from you to understand that this is very powerful.
I agree with you totally. In fact, I just wrote a letter to my son about a year ago. The guy in Samaritan, he was tribal council, and I told him, I believe you are part of that seventh generation. And a whole bunch of your, like the guys I named, the young guys, Jerry Peel and Tony Peel, and all these guys that are really good at carving, and they got a good voice in sharing they're involved in the community, and they have this belief about putting it back in our heart and sharing it again. So yeah, there's big hope here. I think, like my brother and I, we went without these teachings. I think our father was a real good carver and woodworker, but he wasn't not allowed to share these things with us. They were honest to a fault. Our mothers and fathers made a promise to the church and the government that they wouldn't teach these things to us, so they didn't. When we walked into our house, our parents spoke fluent Haida. When we walked in the door, it switched to English. So they took it to a lot of them. Were like that. They were honest to a fault. They made a promise to the church. They're not going to break that promise. They took a lot of that to the grave with them. So now we're digging around in the closets trying to pick the pieces back up. And there's a lot of good pieces, and we'll never get back to the way it was. But we can do the best of what we got and add our own story to it. We're Haida, and not just by blood, but I think more by actions of doing what we're doing here, the carving, and reinstilling this belief again that we can be pretty happy as who we were, Haida people, in a place that the Creator gave us, I guess, and we're supposed to take care of it. So we need to get back to taking care of it and ourselves again. So again, let's be proud Haida people. Everybody should, every race has a story, and they should be proud to share it with the world. You know, this is what we do. This is what we're good at. We're good at carving the canoes. We're good at making the totem poles. We're awesome carvers. A lot of our guys are, like I'm an apprentice. I'm 61 years old, and I'm just now learning. It's never too late. You know, we pick it up, put it in our heart. A lot of people will say, oh, I love that, but I'm too old. Oh, wait a minute, you just quit. You can do this at no matter what age, you know. I mean, like I said again, I got the younger people teaching me. And even some of the values I watch our high school team. When they had a tough season, young coach, they won state or regionals, they're going on to state, and I see the pride that they're walking around with, you know, the good feeling, and I can imagine them walking around saying, I'm Haida. Not just for the ball team, but the values, the training that they had to do to get to that stage, to stay in school, they have to maintain a certain grade point average to be on that team, and the coaches, you gotta run hard, you gotta do this, you gotta try harder, you gotta try harder, you gotta try harder. And that's what we all need to be doing, understanding each other and trying to help get rid of stuff like the Jim Crow law, for crying out loud. Yeah, I said that to this one guy that was here last year, and we were talking about the values of how our people were treated by the Europeans when they came here. We welcomed them open arms, tried to share everything, but they kept on taking. Everything they seen was a dollar sign. To us, it was feeding ourselves and trying to share and feed other people, but it wasn't enough. It took our heart. We're putting it back together, putting all these values back together. I'm probably one of the slower guys, so it's taking me a long time to learn these, but you know, again, it makes me feel good. I went down there and took these classes with Steve Brown and Warren Peel. This drumming itself had a story. I was taking a class at there, Tlingits, Haida, Tsimshians, a whole array of different cultures. And we're all doing the classes, all guys my age. We're all kind of lost this period of learning this stuff. So we're learning how to make drums for like learning how to make a bow and arrow from like that. Learning our language from, you know, so it was kind of funny. We had fun with it. And this guy, after we did the drum, we had to put the spirit into the drum by getting up in front of the class and singing a song. Well, this guy and I developed a little, he got to be friends, but he was always calling me Indian. Hey, Indian. I said, hey, white boy. Just kind of went back and forth, you know. He says, why you call me white boy? You know my name is Steve. I said, well, why you call me Indian? I'm not an Indian, I'm a Haida. Indians are from across the bay. That guy that was lost in 1492, he was lost. And he seen some people on the beach. He thought he was an Indian. So I said, look at those Indians. Hey, wait a minute, you better get a compass reading, brother. Or maybe learn your manners and go back, because you're pretty rude. The more I learned about that guy, the least I like Columbus Day, I'll tell you that, man. If I was standing on the beach, I would say, where's your green card? No meanies allowed to go home. But anyway, for all these years, we were held on by sets of rules, ways, prejudice, assimilation. Many different things were tried to suppress our people. You even look down below. They put a fancy name on these concentration camps. They call them reservations. We know what they were for. They were not to protect our people. They were put there to contain, control, and eliminate people. The more we look into this history, why don't we make history of what they actually did, put it in the history books? A lot of the history books were either distorted or deleted. You don't see the truth of what the government did to our people. They say, oh, making history out of Hitler, 7.5 million or what millions of Jews. We're looking, I start taking studies and looking around. Oh, the numbers got more. Whole tribe. Last time I looked at a study, we were up to 120 million Native American. Some tribes liberated from the earth. I don't hear too much about that. That's another thing. We'd like to see them put the truth in the books. So everybody can see what, oh, come on now. All we're asking, we're not asking for a handout, we're asking what you guys ought to. You signed a treaty, quite a few treaties. Never honored any of them. Pay your rent or get out. That's what I want. That's exactly how I feel now. They're trying to charge me taxes and they're living on my property. Actually, it wasn't my property. We're just here to take care of it. We moved around a lot. There's a lot of misconceptions on how we can't own this. It's not ours. It's the Creator's gift to our mother to help us. This is the triangle that we believe in. Father, mother.
And you said the bay no longer freezes. That for the last 30 years, climate change is affecting the yellow cedar growth. The whole climate is changing, and this world we're in is sick. It needs healing.
Yeah, it changed a lot. It's warming up. I can remember as a kid when we'd have snow. We're making snow forts and all this. You don't hardly see a snow anymore. Like last year, I was really worried. I looked at the mountains out there, and it was May, and we're sitting here carving. Man, we're in trouble. My partner says, why? I said, look at the mountain, Baldy Mountain. There's no snow on it, and it's just May. I mean, it should look like this in maybe end of July, but not in May, you know, and it's looking that way again this year. It didn't pile up enough to, so it affects our fish, our whole land drying up. changes. And, well, I would say short life. I'm 61 years old and I've seen a lot of changes around here. And even the logging. I'm not against logging. They always use those fancy words like sustainable yield. When we're not looking at get the nice trees up alongside the creeks. You see a lot of people that say, well, it has no effect on these streams. Well, why all of a sudden did you log there and it's having landslides and this stream no longer produced? This one that gave us food for thousands of years. Was it worth that money that you got? They come in and log our countries and they're gone. We have to clean up the mess. This has been going on for 500 years. We're getting tired of cleaning up this mess. You guys clean up after yourself. So anyway, yeah, I better not get too radical. It's like,
Well-
as I can get deep,
Maybe it's time to get radical. I don't know, this is the earth we're talking about.
yeah. Our mother is screaming out for help in a big way. And we need to step up to the plate and say, hey, guys, what's the sustainable yield? You guys been selling you guys have been singing the same song for years and years. You guys come and take all the trees, you dig holes in them. To us, the trees are like our mother's hair. You wouldn't go take your mother and cut her hair long. You wouldn't dig holes in your mother and shoot her veins up without her permission unless she gave you permission. We're draining her dry in every which way. We've got weather changes, odd weather all over. We're getting new fishes and new birds. So yeah, there's a lot of changes going on. But again, our people are very adaptable. That's why we're still here. And humor was a great thing about I'll go back to my father. He was a speaker and my mother was one of the speakers. Humor was a survival tool for a lot of our people. It was a way to start healing, I guess. My father, he was a real strong speaker, but he always told stories about himself. And he would think of something real funny to tell them when he had a group of people. I said, well, why do you do that, Dad? He said, well, if you got them laughing, they're listening, then tell them something serious while they're listening.
That's wisdom right there.
Yes,
isn't
I
it?
tried to learn that from him, yeah.
Hi, brother.
Brother, sure. There you go.
Good, good.
Oh, yeah, so there's a lot of different things, I guess, the value systems I could have picked up on a lot. My family raised me real good. My father and mother were real hardworking and whatnot. And all my brothers and sisters, they turned up pretty good tree. I just chose a different path. Sometimes it's not all blame this year on the government and the church. And they had a lot to do with it. The residual effect on me, I pass on this, I guess I could call it historical trauma. From what the government, again, I keep blaming the church and government because they were not nice, our people. The beatings and stuff were just a small part of what actually happened. The cultural genocide part of their plan really hurt a lot of Native America, and then they wondered why are those pissed off so long? Oh, Jesus. You took everything you had and you're still trying to suck our blood out, man. We're trying to be nice. We took your book and we were ready to abide by it. The Constitution, the Bible. We were ready to live by your rules. But you could not seem to follow your own rules. You made them up and changed them to fit your needs. We read it, we understood it, we tried to live by it. It didn't fit your needs, so you changed it and moved us someplace else. So it got to be where a lot of people don't believe it anymore because you keep changing. You can't. If you don't believe it, you can't teach it, you can't live it. Don't walk it. Don't give it to me. If you can't do it yourself, don't give it to me.
No trust, no honor. Yeah.
You got it. You hit it right on the button. You worked real hard on the value of the word was real strong in our old ways. If you said something, you carried it through. My father's ways were my ways. If he made a promise to somebody and he couldn't carry it out, I better take care of it, the business that he left, because I'm not one my father always. So we have got to learn these values and work together. And another value I'd like to expound a little bit upon, volunteering for things. I remember a long time ago, if RA group, you know, if somebody was putting up a home, everybody would show up with their hammer and their saw, material. Nobody asked for money. Maybe whoever home it would make a big pot of stew and some coffee and sandwiches. That was your pay for the day.
Why don't we do that anymore?
You need
Is this something you learned from the white man? Be selfish?
to be selfish. Well, again, this assimilation process and all these Jim Crow laws and all these things that they turned our people into Safeway again. I like to say it like that. We became so dependent on the government and these little handouts. A lot of our people forgot to go out here and hunt, out to go down and dig a clam, or to survive on it. And you could look at that processed food, I think, has a lot of effect on our health. After we start getting the processed food instilled into our villages, and it was outlawed for us to go out and get deer and fish to fill our larder. Now I see there's a big rate of cancer in all of these villages.
Diabetes, soda pop and chips.
So it's real hard for me to go out there and take a whole bunch of help and share with my friends and family. Because if I get caught, I'm going to jail. And I can catch one. Oh, this here feeds me and don't pay for the fuel that gets me to get out there anymore. You know, the process is hard. They made us, all these little things kind of make us into outlaws, trying to make a living the way we were used to. So our hands are tied on that aspect. And the guys, again, the historical trauma about being carvers and stuff. Some of it still hangs in there, you don't know. I don't know how to step up. I might make something nice, but I'm kind of bashful to go share it with somebody. It don't look good enough, or maybe it's...
Well, we'd love to have drums, artwork, boxes, paddles, canoes on the internet for sale so that this shed could be filled with young people learning the skills and they could make money to allow them to enjoy living here in Heidelberg. And to then show the other Alaska Native villages they can do this too, but they have to give the little boy inside a voice.
Right.
And that elders need to know that they have the child that they can bring to have a voice as well. And everything you're saying is, it is now a special time. We're coming full circle. As I hear you speak, this global voice will put this on the internet and send it to Hawaiians, people in Micronesia, tribes in the lower 48, and hope we all can volunteer instead of being selfish. And I've been talking to the kids about how the Native way of learning is mastery learning, no failure, and that to create and share is the Native way. You don't just create, but you also share it. You tell the stories and show the art, and some of them are very shy. They don't want to do digital stories on Haida culture or record stories, but we're encouraging them, so they need to find their Haida heart. And hearing you through this video, I think will touch many of them. So
I think we as the aunties, the uncles, the chinas, and nanas, and parents and whatnot, we need to be more encouraging to them. Good morning, son. Good morning, daughter. Put a personal touch on every day. Start out with a positive good morning. You're beautiful. You're smart. I love you. Have a good day at school. We need to encourage them and tell them every day how much you love them. You're good at school. Or, you know, I keep saying this thing about teach me to be Haida. It's a little boy inside me crying. Teach me to be Haida. To be Haida and a warrior is the goal. Now, I don't know if I ever reached that goal yet. I'm still learning. I know I'm Haida, but the warrior status, I don't know. I hope to attain that. To be able to stand proud in front of my people and say, I did this for us. No, I did this, whatever. Something good to, I'd like to do something good for myself and my people once in my life, man. I've been messing up forever. But Yeah, and then to encourage our younger people to be able to stand, pick up a drum, to get up there and say whatever you need to say, you know, to share their feelings with our people, you know, maybe through song. Maybe they'll be songwriters. Maybe they don't have to do it with just a drum. I see some other groups come out like Making Hawaiians or some down low, get a guitar, or just talk, or whatever. We need to get messages from them, to them, and with them. We need to do this together. We're a long ride. I keep saying the road to healing. The goal is to be a warrior. And the key is education. White man's education, I call it white man's education, but also the education of our own people, the story, the history, your family. Really important to know your mom, dad, whatever, your aunties, your uncles. Get to know them all. And then again, personalize your day. Oh, Frank, how you doing today? Just a little hello can change a person's attitude for the day. Maybe you're walking on the street not feeling good. Took the time out of your life to say hi.
We were talking about with the kids, if everyone encourages each other, it creates an upward spiral for the community. Everyone is happy, they feel a part of the community. But when people are negative or use the internet for cyberbullying or spread rumors on smartphones, it creates a downward spiral, and people are angry and hurt. And this is a challenge. We're teaching the kids how they can preserve elders' stories and wisdom for all future generations. We've never been able to do that before, but with this digital technology, you know, your great-great-grandchildren will be able to hear this and see this, and people all around the world will hear Haida Heart in your voice, seeing your face, for far into the future, as you're looking far into the past from which these values have come. And so coming full circle, it's a magical time. We have more people on the planet than we've ever had, 8 billion people, and they're all getting interconnected. So what do we do with that? Do we be negative and fight and put people down, or can we have Haida values and heart and spread Haida heart worldwide? This is the question of our time. Are we going to all be in the same canoe and paddle in the same direction, or are we going to turn the canoe over and all drown? It's a difficult time, and for Mother Earth and the environment as well. And you know this, and this video is priceless.
Well, I think I like your analogy of the canoe. No, first we need to get a canoe, but these things are coming. The plans are coming for canoes and longhauls and whatnot. And paddling the canoe, you know, it's a good analogy, but seems like there is a time coming in a circle is not a good thing. One of the very few times we're all paddling on the same side of the flag. Maybe we need to get some paddles evened up, and let's make a plan, and let's go down the direction again. It doesn't have to be just Haida sitting in that canoe. It could be me and you. We're good people. That's what Haidas mean. Haida means to good people. It's not a blood quantum thing, it's about how we act, how we carry ourselves, how we're representing. So hopefully we're learning how to welcome you, how to say to the world, or Haida, come and see us, you're welcome. And there was a time when it was not like that. You know, we didn't want nobody here. It was kind of a, Mr. T, come on in. Here's one of our main teachers in Haida Art here in Heidelberg, Warren Peel. Looks like he's got another of these fancy wooden boxes.
We're recording stories, songs, and history.
I was singing that prayer song earlier. We're calling on the Spirit to come and join us and wish us well on our journey. They had all these songs. A lot of the songs were paddling songs, but they had songs for just about everything, you know. Again, I'm just learning them. So you're getting a voice here. And I learned them from my daughter. She got it through an interest when she was 10, 12 years old. We were living in Seattle, and she'd come up and spend time with her friends here in the summer. And she'd come back singing Haida songs. I'm really impressed. So we joined the group down there and started learning more songs. And next thing you know, I'm in the class. I'm learning from my son, my daughter, my nephews. And took this class on drum making. I started telling you earlier. I was older and had a need to try to learn about Haida art. So I'm living in the city, learning how to do this stuff. And they're gonna do the class on the drum. We did the class, and I have to get up and put the spirit in there. It's the eagle spirit. You see, it's nighttime when the spirit's moving. There's the eagle. Now this is my first drum, and they asked me, different guys are doing songs. And I told you about him calling me an Indian all the time, and I told him, I'm not an Indian, I'm a Haida. We have an identity. We're not Indians. He's a Tsimshian, he's a Tlingit, I'm a Haida, you're a... You know, he was Irish. But I didn't call him Irish, I called him Weka. I didn't call him by his name because he called me an Indian. And went back and forth. Finally come my turn to get up and bless my drum. Hagu, you're gonna do an Indian song. Weka, I'll do an Indian song for you. The only Indian song I know. One little, two little, three little Indians, 4 little, 5. Okay, he said. And he said, okay, Haida Hagu, will you do us a Haida song? Yes, Steve Brown, Irishman. Now I kind of start respecting each other's names and ways. We'll do you a Haida song. This is kind of a lullaby. Come help me the rest. Anyway, I keep on going back to the stories, how they were passed down through our generations and generations. The stories change depending on who you heard them from. You know? Everybody told a different version of the story. But in our way, I would not tell you you were wrong. I would not tell them you were wrong. I would not tell anybody. We sit down to share stories. If you told a man they're wrong, you step on their toes, you hurt their feelings, or you get bad feelings. So if we're telling a story, if somebody wants to interject something or whatever, this is the way I understood it. We could read, say there's 10 of us sitting in a circle and we read just one paper and pass it around. We're going to have 10 different opinions of what that's being said. So it's the same way of our hearing. It changes a little bit depending on who you heard from and what you heard. I might have heard something a little different. Interpretation. Well, it takes time to explain it sometimes. This is the way I understood it. What I understood, well, it's troubled youth. Trying to get ahead. Be well. We're getting better every day.
Better every day.
Better every day, and through our cultural. I look back and I seen the kids coming down here and going up to school. I see them introducing Haida art, Haida language, and it makes me, oh yeah, man, I mean, you see more and more of it going into our school, yes, it makes me happy. Why want to, they're talking about language class, why does it have to be French? Why does it have to be Spanish? Why not Haida, you know?
No.
Anyway, I'm glad to see it coming into our school system, and we've got people that are, the teacher system, and more people are getting on board in line with what our community is thinking and feeling. And I think there's more bonding between people that are running up there, I think. I'm happy with what I see. There's a lot of people that, no matter what you do, you're gonna find people that disagree. But we got enough of us that think that our culture is important enough that we need to instill it in our schools. Education starts at home. But we need to get it at home. We need to put a storyteller, or we need some mothers and fathers and aunties and uncles to step up. Hey, we're bragging about our children coming home and speaking this word, but they got nobody to speak it to because we don't understand. So what do? We better get on that internet and learn how, so when they come home and say, you know, soon they ask us how we're doing. How do we answer? You know, gotta learn these things to have a conversation with our youngsters. If they're learning in school, can they come home and share that language with us? We need to learn it. I have the vision and the hope that in a few years' time, we're going to be speaking this language in our homes with our youngsters. I want to be able to stand up in front of you and give a speech. You know, I can introduce myself a little bit. That's it. If somebody were to talk to me, I wouldn't understand. Just to introduce, and an introduction is real important in all of our cultures.
Yeah.
Who I am, who my mother and father are, who our grandparents, where our families came from. This whole lineage thing was very important.
Well, they are teaching Haida to first and second graders and fifth graders, and I'm seeing a resurgence. Everything that you've shared here is very important. The battery on my camera is about to go out, but I can plug it in right there and we can keep going if you have the time. I have the time.
Oh, I got a lot of time here, so I'm
Yeah.
yours for today. So
All right.
I'll take a